Well, hello everyone. Sorry. Today we're here with Dominic, who's going to talk to us a bit about the work he does in relation to restorative justice. So, Dominic, first, could you tell us a bit about your background and where you come from and what your work is?
Yes, I'm a serving police officer. I'm a detective chief inspector. I've been police officer for 28 years. I'm currently the service delivery manager for restorative justice for Cambridgeshire Constabulary. And in April this year, we set up our restorative justice hub, which involves the use of a number of trained practitioners from other agencies and from the voluntary sector. Okay,
so what is the experience for you setting up this service, and what do you aim to achieve as well in Cambridge?
The absolute critical point for me was to set up a service that has sustainability, and the model is based around the use of resources within the constabulary, both police officers to identify potential victims and offenders who may benefit from restorative justice, and a referral mechanism that was simple and straightforward, that would allow us to make best use of the resources available.
That's very interesting, because referral mechanisms tend to be one of the key points and one of the things that go wrong with some of these services. How do you attract offenders and victims to the idea of having restorative conferences?
So we make it available to every victim of crime, regardless of what's happened to them. We have several levels of information that's available to them, and we make it very clear that, of course, it's all within their timescales, so the door is never closed to them. The benefits of our model is that we certainly don't encounter any of the issues that other areas do with information sharing, because, of course, this is a police-led hub, and therefore we have free access to all of the information from the police systems.
Mm-hmm. Have you had any conferences held there already?
Yes, we have. Since we started in April, we've had 45 referrals from a range of practitioners, so some from the officers that have attended the scene, some from other agencies, and some self-referrals as well, both from offenders and from victims. This has been particularly useful because every victim of crime also receives a letter outlining the availability of restorative justice, so we're particularly pleased that a number of people have self-referred in. Of those referrals, 3 have currently gone to full restorative conference, and that's involved offences of theft, minor assault, and a burglary.
Yes, correct.
And we have a number of live cases still where we're working with both the victim and the offender to hopefully bring them to conference.
Well, it's very interesting that, like you mentioned, this is a service that is provided by the police directly. Now, when it comes to practitioners, the people that mediate in the actual restorative conference, are those from the police force as well, or are they external consultants, if you like, or practitioners?
No, they are volunteers,
mm-hmm.
In the main, but they are police volunteers. So again, we provide the training and support to them, supervision, access to the information and technology as well, and we also make use of partner agencies' resources such as Youth Offending Service, Probation, and the CRC. But in the main, we don't advocate the use of police officers.
Mm-hmm. And what is the ultimate objective of this service? Because not a lot of time it is about, from an administrative point of view, is to reduce crime, but also, if you think about it in terms of restorative justice, it is to help victims get over the situation that they have been through, and also to get offenders off the path to reoffending. How do you view that happening in Cambridge, and how do you think that's going to go in the future?
Absolutely. There is no one size fits all. So it's about maximising the opportunities and the benefits for everybody involved in in crime, or more recently we've also made it available for antisocial behaviour too. The benefits are well documented and well researched, and certainly our own experience, even though we've only been running for a few months, is that what we've seen is a prolific offender who took part in a conference who didn't commit another offence for another 4 months. The rate of his offending at that time would have meant that there would have been another 120 victims that he would have that would have been subjected to his activity. So we know that it reduces reoffending. We know certainly in that particular conference that the lady, the female victim, felt a huge amount of benefit from meeting the offender and having an opportunity to explain very personal impact that his behaviour had on her. And of course, you know, we subscribe to all of the information that's available around, you know, for every £1 spent on restorative justice, we save £8 from the criminal justice system, and never more so has there been a critical time for us to look at the development of restorative justice to prevent reoffending, but also to bring a great deal of satisfaction to victims as well.
Well, that's an amazing story. I think that a lot of people that are going to see this are going to relate to that as well if they have been involved in one of those conferences. Talking about offenders more specifically, do you already do, or do you envisage to coordinate with other agencies? Because it is said sometimes that a very strong element of for reoffenders is the fact that once they, let's say if they're convicted and they come out, the underlying circumstances that cause that person to offend in the first place remain there. So they need other types of actions to sort of address those issues that cause these issues in the first place. Is that something that you in Cambridge are doing?
Yes, absolutely. There's little point in taking the process to a certain level without seeing the job through. And so actually our experience with particularly prolific offenders,
You know, the fact that there is a victim there are no victimless crimes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, there's an extensive program of work to bring in restorative approaches within within school setting, both from primary school through to secondary. We're also doing some work with universities within our county as well to bring in restorative approaches to minor discipline issues that occur within that community. And all of these things together are absolutely central to us to make sure that when we apply the principles of restorative justice, in essence, it's just about being a good, thoughtful person, acknowledging when things go wrong, apologising and moving on. And if we can get that in to people from the earliest age possible, right through and influencing them to beyond schooling and into the workplace, then we're very, very optimistic for a positive outcome.
In a way, like you said, restorative justice is like the golden rule, and basic common sense. Don't do to others what you wouldn't like done to you, things like that. Well, that's extremely interesting, Dominic, and I hope that you share your results and your successes as well with the rest of the Restorative Forum members. So thank you very much for your time and for this interview.
Okay, thank you.